Julia, president and founder of the What You Should Read podcast, and I'm a Kristy.
I'm Rachael, and I'm a Stacey.
I'm Kelly, and I'm the hermit from Karen's Urban Legend.
And hi, I'm Kristen, and I think I'm a Stacey.
Wow, really? I would not have expected that, Kristen.
Maybe could I be like a little bit of Dawn, a little bit of Stacey? Maybe?
Sure.
Okay.
I would have guessed Dawn. That is absolutely what I would have guessed. But I'm curious, what is it about Stacey that you identify with?
I'm so cosmopolitan.
True. You're so sophisticated.
I'm so sophisticated. No, now that I'm like rethinking it, yeah, I think I am closer to Dawn. Yeah, that's true.
You should go with, it's a gut feeling though. You know, it's not always about interests or,
right.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm a Mallory.
Mallory.
A horse.
Are you up? Right, we learned that about Mallory in this episode. She's a little bit of a horse girl, who also has survival skills.
There's a lot of overlap.
Love it. Well, welcome, Kristen, to the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about your history with the Babysitters Club books.
I read them all through my childhood. I remember, like, I don't remember like not reading the Babysitters Club. It was just like present throughout my whole childhood. I read the summer editions. I remember the movie that came out, I think sometime in the 90s. It was very disappointing. But yeah, I just remember being like obsessed with the books. Like it was like all I read. It was like that R.L. Stine. Yeah.
Classic.
Oh, super fast before we keep going. Some Fear Street books from R.L. Stine are going to be coming to Netflix. What? Probably next year, but maybe soon. I'm very excited.
Oh man, I loved the Fear Street series. Yeah, very.
Have you said that on
Julia?
It's fine. I'll allow it. Kelly, have you said that on Book News before?
I believe I did. Yes.
Okay. I didn't remember.
I mean, we talk about a lot.
Yeah. Including the Babysitters Club, which
yes,
it's our last episode of these recaps, which is sad. I really enjoyed doing these because we were talking about it before we started recording, but these episodes are so fun. The show is so good. So let's jump in and let's each go around and say what our initial reactions we're doing both parts of the final episode of Camp Moosehead, a Babysitters Club super special. So, Kristen, what are your thoughts?
Man, I thought the last two episodes were just so good. I was really pleasantly surprised by the whole series. I went into it with fairly low expectations. I was like, okay, it's going to be saccharine and like, too much or whatever. But they really found like their legs by these last two episodes, and I feel like they really got to just like have fun. We have the girls in a new environment, challenges, away from like the school and their parents and everything. And I think they did a really good job of like sort of getting little digs in at like how like sort of goody two shoes some of them are, but not in like it never felt like mean. It was just like, it was just funny. I thought they were really, really well done. I rewatched them like an hour ago and I was like laughing the whole time. I thought they were great.
Yeah. Kelly, what about you?
I felt bad for everybody because it seemed like they had a very specific vision for how the summer was going to go. And that just did not happen. Kristy specifically, but Mary Anne got put in a cabin by herself, or more accurately, with girls she did not know. And the thing that made me laugh the hardest, though, was the Moosehead chant that they did, and apparently required them to practice, even though it's just the word Moosehead. But then I was talking to a friend, and I was like, I've seen this episode 3 or 4 times. I don't know that I could do it. Like in the exact way that it should be done. So I'm like, I guess they did need to practice. So that'll show me.
I can't even remember what it was, honestly.
There's a moose head, but I think there's like a Moosehead in there somewhere too. I don't know. It's not great. We should have practiced, honestly, so we could do this together, like friends do, apparently, at camp.
Aw.
Kelly, did you never go to camp?
No.
I know.
I
Kristen,
didn't
did you go?
either.
No?
I went to band camp in high school, which is a wildly different experience from what I can tell. So yeah.
Oh my God, camps were a staple of our, me and Rachel's childhood, for sure. Okay, Rachel, what did you think of the episode?
I loved this two-parter episode. It was so cute. This is one super special I never read growing up. So I didn't know anything going into it. I mean, it's not like they did, I'm sure they changed a lot of it. I don't know. But I just thought it was so much fun. I love camp, and I love camp settings. I mean, yeah, I went to camps as a kid, as Julia said, and I worked at a camp for 3 or 4 years through college. So, I mean, that was definitely a big part of my life. So it was really fun being in that setting, and I just thought all the storylines were really clever. All the girls had such great adventures. It was really fun.
Were you a CIT?
No, I started out as a full counselor.
Wow, impressive.
I did my first summer. I was still 17 for like a month, so I did have a curfew at first. But then when I turned 18, I didn't have a curfew.
Wow. Yeah, I remember reading this book, but I don't remember. This is one I don't remember a lot of details, but I do remember the fact that in the book, the 8th graders are all counselors, and then Jesse and Mallory are CITs, I think. No, I think they're all CITs, and then Jesse and Mallory are junior CITs.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. I mean,
Which does sound like a made-up title.
Yeah. I mean, when I was a camp counselor, our CITs were like 16 and up, like in the show.
Yeah, 11 and 13 seems really young.
Very young.
Like, I know 13-year-olds, and I would not put them as part of the camp.
Those were all my campers, 10 to 13. That was like the main demographic of the campers.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the central things about the episode that I thought was so fun. Like, I really did kind of feel during the second watch through, I did kind of feel more for Meanie, the director of the camp. She's just like, you're 13. Like, I can't have you being in charge. But as a Kristy, I also felt really upset for Kristy the entire episode, because when you have a natural leader and someone with such great leadership qualities such as Kristy, and you clip her wings like that and don't let her, do things her way, it hurt me.
Yeah.
As a Kristy. But yes, I love this episode too. I love camp stories. And I also love musicals, so I loved that aspect of it too. That was nice. Yeah, and there was a lot going on though. I felt like watching it. I felt like every plot line moved so quickly, and it was like really quick from one to the next. So Kelly, do you think that you could give us like a breakdown of the major storylines that happened in these episodes? Because there's so much going on.
Okay, so our main plot line is the Babysitters Club versus Authority. Specifically Kristy, but really Dawn too, a lot. Mary Anne coming into her own as Authority, and that was also great. So that's like the do you want to talk about them as I'm giving you my completely not random titles? Or
sure, where should we start? Which one should we start with?
Okay, Babysitters Club versus Authority.
Yeah, man. So we start with Kristy immediately wants to be a CIT. She's already applied, I think, before they even get to camp. So the babysitters arrive at camp, and they're immediately shut down. Oh, the one thing I wanted to point out at the beginning of this episode, it starts with a voiceover from Kristy. And then it doesn't, no more voiceovers, right? For the rest, it's the only 2 episodes that doesn't have a voiceover.
I think it comes back at the end, but
At the end, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of part 2, yeah. And it's all the girls voicing over. It's not just Kristy.
That's right. So she's excited, adventure, new things, friendship. She wants to, start her training as a counselor. But then immediately they're kind of stymied. The camp director, Philomena Means, call me Meanie.
Yeah. My favorite though is like at the end, Kristy starts calling her Old Meanie, and I'm like, that's not her name. Of course she hates you.
Yeah. But she's been there for 26 years and she won't put them in the cabins together. She wants to split them up and she doesn't want to let them be CITs. And she tells them, just try and relax and have fun because you're kids.
Which I think is sound reasoning. I mean, I'm like, oh, you're kids, like relax for a second. And I also very much agree with them, like you can't go into camp wanting to be like your own little clique. Like you should, be encouraged to like make new friends. Like I think that's actually, I'm on Team Meanie for this one. I think that was a valuable lesson she was trying to impart there.
Yeah, she was right. She can't employ 12, 13-year-olds as counselors, and they are her campers. So, and yeah, it's good for them to be split up, right? It's going to help them grow as people, which is part of what camp's about.
Right. When I was a camp counselor, I mean, we had very strict rules against cliques. So, I mean, sometimes you had to split up people who knew each other outside of camp for that reason.
Yep. Yeah. So Dawn and Claudia get put in the same camp. They are very different people. Claudia is wearing platform shoes to camp. And Dawn wants to do the morning announcements so she can have a free platform for social justice issues. So they definitely have very different perspectives, but they're happy to, I think, spend a little bit more time together and they get to know each other more. And so their storyline, I guess we can start there. So they're at an arts and crafts session at camp, and they find out that you have to pay extra money to tie-dye $35 t-shirts.
Ridiculous.
I know. Okay.
Well, when she said it's a really high quality and it holds color, when she said that, I was like, oh God, that thing is going to fall apart. She's lying right now.
Yeah, like my thought is half the girls in that shot, in that frame, are wearing white t-shirts already. Can't they tie-dye one they brought with them? Like when the little girl was like, I don't have commissary money, and the counselor was just like, well, then you can't tie-dye. It's like, or tie-dye one you brought with you.
Devastating. The look on the little girl's face, like that little actress, I was just like, oh my God, I just wanted to pick her up and hold her. But the idea that, you paid all this money to go to a camp, but there's like just random things you can't do because you like, okay, well, if we're going to have an arts and crafts stuff, you have to provide the arts and crafts. It's like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah.
Just be like cheap Hanes t-shirts.
Go to a thrift store and get old t-shirts like for $1.
Yeah, the camp is a scam. I mean, the camp is a money-making scam. They could have just told the kids, everyone bring an old t-shirt from home for arts and crafts. Or get a cheap Hanes t-shirt. But no, they have to buy $35 t-shirts, which obviously the camp is making a huge profit on. So yeah, it's a scam. Plain and simple. And yeah, when the camp, she's like, well, I guess you can't tie it out there. It's very sinister. It's not empathetic at all. It's just like, well, I guess you can't.
That woman is a villain.
Yes.
She took glee in telling that little girl she could not tie dye.
I know. Yeah, I don't buy the argument that the camp makes at the end that if they didn't do that, they would go out of business. Those girls from Stony Brook are paying a heavy tuition price, or their parents are anyway, I'm sure, to go to that camp. Unless most of the kids there are on a scholarship. I just can't imagine.
I'm sure some are, and and then there's some that are paying well into 4 figures for that camp.
Right.
It's a full summer long camp. Like the camp that I worked at, the longest program we ran was 4 weeks, and it was over $2,000, and this was a decade ago. So I mean, it's a
lot of money.
Expensive.
Yeah. Yes. And they can sell souvenirs to make money.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't buy it.
Well, and they don't have many staff, it looks like, because there's Meanie, there's the arts person. There are like those couple of other teenagers that are basically stepping over the people in the lie-in.
Yeah. They were like, Meanie's not here, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So the counselors do get paid though, right? Like you're an employee.
Yeah.
Probably, but I mean, there aren't many of them. So it's not like, well, we have a high overhead for staff.
Yeah.
It's also like you get free room and board, right, Rach, when you're a counselor.
Free room and board, you get paid pennies and you get free room and board. Yeah, that's basically where I worked anyway. I mean, I worked at a small,
yeah, that's part of the scam.
Owned camp, so
that's part of the scam too, right? It's almost like you're paying. You're like, oh, it's an experience, which it is, but yeah.
Yep, it looks good on her.
And you're working like 24/7.
You are, yes.
Yeah.
Your hourly wage is like $1.
When you think about it, the counselors should have joined in on the protest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they see this is happening. They're like, this isn't fair. We're going to start our own art class in the woods, which I thought was super cool. Like Claudia says, let's all gather materials and we'll create something as a group. I thought that was such a like exactly what a camp, the kind of activity camp should be. Not like people sitting at individual tables doing like lanyards, but like working together to create something. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like the whole lesson of like the ephemeral nature of art is like the objects themselves. Like, I don't know, there's a lot of like cool little lessons that they wrap in that are not like you're not being hit over the head with, but I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and they're not like stereotypical, I feel like kids shows type of thing. I was struck by that too. But they get in trouble for it. So Meanie and the failed art PhD student. So Claudia is the one that actually gets punished and not Dawn. And I didn't understand why. Maybe because Claudia was a little bit more outspoken in the moment.
Right.
But
she outright said no when Meanie told them to pack it up.
And she was running the class, so I guess.
Yeah, that's true. So they remand her to their camp, and then Dawn recruits all of the children around to be her.
The Mockingjay thing at the end. I was dead. Yeah.
Right. So they do the Hunger Games Mockingjay salute.
Is that like a thing campers do? Like, how did they all know to do that? Or was it just a reference to Mockingjay?
Yes, kids these days.
They probably just all read it.
Yeah.
Although I am Team Meanie on this too, because there probably are bears in that forest.
Mm-hmm.
Or, somebody could fall and break something or sprain something. I'd be willing to bet she's cheaped out on the insurance. So.
Well, but it also is like, yeah, I do understand like the actual like logistical like reasons why they can't just have children meandering in the woods.
Right.
But it is like, okay, well, this could have been a moment where maybe she was like, I don't know, maybe, yeah, Claudia, just like go through me next time. And yeah, you can have your little free, like, I don't know. You're already at camp. Are there like, I don't know if there's any precedent for like little like art clubs or anything like that, but like,
almost wonder.
Been a better way to, I just feel like there could have been a better way to sort of mitigate this,
I feel like this is a woman who's been beaten down over the years. And like maybe when she first started, she would have wanted, because even when Dawn starts doing the morning announcements and Dawn's like, I'm going to put my own twist on it and talk about, climate change and inequalities. And she's like, just read the news. And you know that like someone did something like that once and a parent complained, you know, and she had to deal with that. So I'm sure like she's like had to deal with so much parent complaints and red tape and stuff like that over the years. Yeah, she's probably just like no deviations, no, like just stick to the script. That's safe.
Totally.
Well, and we know that there's been at least one lawsuit because she's like, we can't take another lawsuit.
That's right.
Probably, I would guess 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Or one really bad one.
I'm also wondering, so this woman, she runs the camp. She probably doesn't own the camp though, right? So
she's the director.
She's probably just like a school teacher during the year and she has summers off. Like what is her, because she obviously couldn't take, you know, months off from a regular job.
Right. I mean, yeah.
I think that's so right. She's probably a teacher during the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, camp used to be the funnest part of the year, but it just turned into another bureaucratic slog, you know.
Particularly as a school teacher, she probably had it up the year.
Shout out to teachers right now.
Oh my god.
Also. Yes, snaps. They have a really hard job all the time, but especially now.
Yeah. And I mean, with Meanie, I mean, I totally saw her perspective on everything. I do feel like with the whole protest thing is, as the adult in the situation, she definitely let it go too far.
Yeah.
And, you know, should have recognized, like, just like she said in the end, where she was like, I know that you're learning about yourselves and you're learning about how you want to be in the world. And it's like, you just ignored this until it escalated. And now you have a bigger problem. And it's like, instead of coming to a compromise, you're just going to send these kids home. And it just, for me, it was like, you know, definitely a lot of mixed feelings on Meanie.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I think sometimes like people who are in charge of institutions like miss that nuance.
But then we find out, we see the foreshadowing a little bit. We see her like holding her mouth and she's probably in like horrendous pain for weeks. Yeah. So I can also see that being like, when you're in pain or you're sick, you just like don't want to deal with extra crap, so I could see her just being like, whatever, I don't have the energy for this,
Yeah. I love when she's like, not that you've noticed, to the girls, like
ungrateful 12-year-olds.
I was like, oh, she's just having a hard summer.
I think that, she probably thought, okay, if I just let them do this little stupid protest, they're going to drop it and go into something else. But unfortunately, she did not know Kristy or Dawn.
Right.
And they just...
Right. Yeah, so
super fast. Sorry. When Kristy's trying to teach people archery, which no way could that go wrong. And Meanie's like, just go watch TV. You're going to reach a point where you wish you had watched more TV. And I don't think that's true for me, but if she had said, you're going to wish you had taken more naps. Yes. I do wish I had taken more naps.
I think that's a good segue because I did want to backtrack a little bit and say, like, meanwhile, Kristy is seeing kind of how things are disintegrating at camp, right? She's seeing that it's not being run well and wants so badly to help. So yeah, she's trying to teach archery.
That archery scene, I have never had such secondhand embarrassment from somebody in so long.
Were you embarrassed for Kristy?
Yes. Like I just imagine like if that were me and like I had made a big to-do of like, what she did, and then everyone just like ignores, I would have been mortified. All right, everybody, line up, 2 lines, and the sound effect. It was brilliant. It was great.
No. I was proud of her. I was like, yes, that is how you get a crowd in order. That is what needed to happen. And I'm sure she wasn't embarrassed that no one was following her. I'm sure she was just like, ugh, idiots. Like
That's true. Yeah, I just am like, like if I had been one of the other kids, I would have been like, well, nobody asked you. Like, you're not in charge.
Right.
You know?
Because you're a Dawn / Stacey, and
Right.
you are much cooler than the Kristys of the world. But as a Kristy, I was like, yes, I would have wanted very much to like take charge. And yeah, like someone would have been like, you're being a bossy know-it-all or whatever. But God, if the adults aren't going to do it, the teenage counselors are just like on their phones the whole time, or like flirting with each other, so they're not paying attention. But yeah, so Chris,
really, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was really glad that this show, like, I feel like if this were made like 20 years ago, like all the kids would have lined up and it would have been like, oh, Kristy showed them how to run it. But it was realistic. It was a realistic portrayal of like, no, Kristy, like you're not, this isn't how the world works, which is a lesson for Kristy as well.
Yes.
Sorry, my cat.
She can't always just like take over and be in charge. Right. She can't be the director of everything. She just can't. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel like Meanie had no control over her counselors. Like, they weren't doing anything except for the art villain. The rest of them just did nothing all summer. And Meanie was like, I don't care. Go inside and watch TV, kid.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, you should probably encourage them to do something other than watch TV, because they can literally have not spent thousands of dollars and stayed at home to do that.
Yeah, that was definitely, I caught that as well. But yeah, Kristy's storyline for most of part one is basically like, you don't see her a ton, but you see her trying to fix things. But I feel like she is just like observing what's going on, and it kind of sets her up for in part two to like provide a solution at the end. But meanwhile, we have, the Mary Anne musical storyline slash mystery with Karen. I feel like they're intertwined. So Mary Anne, it starts off with her getting put in her own cabin, right? And so she and Karen are talking, and Karen, you know, has clearly like heard about this camp before and knows all the urban legends. I can't remember how she described.
Do you want me to tell you a story? Because I can tell you a story.
Yes.
So in the long ago time, they were doing a musical, and a crazed hermit lived in the forest, and he was just so unhappy at the children singing and practicing that he kidnapped them all, and they were never seen again. But he didn't kill them, probably because sometimes you can still hear them singing. Or maybe they're singing ghosts. I really don't know. But my favorite part is she finishes, sees that Mary Anne is terrified, and just smiles, says goodbye, and skips off. I love her so much.
Yeah.
Acting in this show, like, they found brilliant little actors for all of these roles. And that little girl is, I want to like be best friends with her. She's so weird and funny.
She's so great. Yeah, her delivery of the ghost story, and then later she is like, so Mary Anne decides to put on this play. She meets Lane, who's in her cabin, who's from New York, and her dad's a Broadway producer.
Yeah. He's seen Hamilton 3 times, and the workshop.
Not counting the workshops at the public house.
Okay, brag.
Right. But it's nice for Mary Anne to like Mary Anne's good at making new friends. I don't know why Mary Anne thinks she's so shy, but she's the best at making new friends out of all of them.
Well, she's just a nice person. And she's been like, I think there's something about like having felt like an outsider that I guess this isn't the case for everybody, but you know, you want to like be inclusive and be like, oh, maybe you are also feeling like an outsider, so let's be outsiders together, or let's bond over that. And she's just this sweet, smart person, so why wouldn't you be friends with her?
So true. And the other girls in their cabin are pretty snobby in the beginning, and so she and Lane kind of band together because they want to be friends. Yeah. So they decide to put on this play, Paris Magic. Is this a real play? I don't think so.
I don't think so. but I don't know for sure.
Everything else they referenced was real though, so I don't know. I hadn't thought to.
I guess with copyright, they could have just made one up to actually do. Let me Google it.
Yeah, because they're singing in dialogue from the play, so they might not be able to do it unless it's either made up or public domain.
I hope they just made up a whole ass musical. Like someone. They did.
There's nothing on Paris Magic. Okay, let me try this.
I also love the idea that like if you live in New York, or if you're like close to New York, in Connecticut or whatever, like you're just in New York all the time seeing Broadway shows. Like and maybe that's the truth. I don't know. I didn't grow up close to New York City. But yeah, I just love the idea that like, yeah, I'm a New Yorker. I've seen Hamilton 3 times. It's like, okay, well that's still pretty.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Privilege.
Yeah. Well, her dad's a Broadway producer, so he probably gets like tickets from friends.
Yeah.
What a life.
He probably like, gets drinks with Lynn, like.
Yeah, you know. But yeah, I hope that someone like wrote the musical Paris Magic just for this show.
Yeah, I can't find anything that tells me it's a real thing.
But I loved Oh, go ahead, Kelly.
I was gonna say, we know that the main character's name is Mignonette, so I feel like we would know because that's not really a common name.
True. Yeah.
True.
But yeah.
Yeah. I feel like definitely it sounds like a great play.
Yeah.
And I loved how when you see Mary Anne and Logan practicing their scene and they're singing it and they're like just okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's so realistic that of course these random kids aren't all gonna sing as well as a real Broadway cast.
Right.
Yes.
The only one who has true talent is Karen. I mean, we see, and Jessie, because she's a beautiful dancer, but we see the auditions and Karen is giving this like rousing like speech. And then David Michael just convulses and they're like, we need boys. And I'm like,
in my notes I wrote, Karen gives devastating auditions. Boys suck.
This is the perennial problem in show business. There are so many roles for boys and so many more girls who are good at theater. It's always a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Mary Anne is finding her footing as a director. Lane's her producer. I don't know why she needs a producer for this camp run. Like, what is there to produce? Finding costumes, I guess. I don't know.
Well, listen, they're familiar with New York and the lingo. They know how to make it happen, you know? That's why.
And she ran the light board.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh. So Stacey shows up to audition, and that's where Stacey and Lane see each other, and it turns out they were best friends in New York until Lane betrayed Stacey.
I want to hear what Kelly's title is for this storyline.
Yes.
Stacey's nemesis.
Yes.
It wasn't a great one. They can't all be winners, guys. I'm sorry.
It was good though. I liked it.
Thank you. But I do have questions about this because when they finally talk, like actually talk, it sounds like a lot of it was misunderstood and Lane didn't do anything. She just didn't stop it. Mm-hmm. But when they're rehearsing, Lane really was interrupting her constantly and messing with the whole flow of everything. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Like, is she a perfectionist? It seemed like she was trying to mess Stacey up though, and just make her look bad.
I wonder if it was just some like passive aggressive, like just anger sort of boiling up. And it's like, oh, I can mess with her this way, you know?
Right.
Or at least like talk to like get Stacey to talk to her. Because I'm sure Stacey was just trying to ignore Lane. And so Lane was like, well, if the only way I'm going to get any reaction is to kind of poke at her a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a classic case of like, if they had just like had a conversation at some point, like it would have all been resolved. But again, like I've been an 11, 12, 13-year-old girl and like you just get mad and like you shut down and you don't like, that's how I dealt with things. I just would like, okay, well, I'm ignoring you forever now.
Yeah.
Right.
But one thing I think this story or this show does really well, and one thing I love about it is that they really do a good job at like modeling in an age appropriate way good like behaviors, like
Yes.
how to like, so Stacey runs outside and Mary Anne follows her and they talk about it, and it's not in a mean way. It's a very like, I don't know, very emotionally mature way, like, well, tell me about it, or I'm here to support you, like we're friends, whatever. And they do a really good job of that throughout. I'm sure you talked about throughout the whole series of like modeling really good just ways of like communicating and like supporting each other. Like these are the friends I wish I had when I was that age. I'm like,
yes,
I wish I had like, or I had the presence of mind to be like a supportive female friend. And I think it's so valuable to have that at this age and to model that for like the people at that age that are hopefully watching. I think it's
yeah.
I think it's really cool the way they handled like a lot of this stuff. So
yeah, I definitely agree. I think the show does a great job of modeling, good behavior in friendships, and it's all rooted in high self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm.
Right. And I loved that particular scene because at no point is it like, well, if you're going to let her be your producer, I'm not going to be friends with you, or
right.
Nothing like that. It's just like, we can deal with it. And yeah, like you said, modeling good behavior or good, ways of handling yourself during conflict, which is a real challenge when you're 12.
And historically, like in media, women, especially women, like teenage preteen girls, are portrayed as like very catty and very just like dramatic and emotional. It's like, no, like we can have people who, can like be nice to each other and respect each other's like emotions and feelings and stuff like that. And I just, I was really bowled over at how well the whole series did that.
I know. I guess the character who isn't able to manage her emotions as well in this episode is Karen, who is much younger than the babysitters. So it makes sense. She's only, 7? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I kind of want to talk a little bit about Karen. She was such a great part of this episode, and I really felt for her. And, she is such a unique kid. She is eccentric. I would assume that Karen would be the popular girl, but she also just is unabashed in her interests, which are not normal for a 7-year-old. She likes gothic type things. She likes telling ghost stories. She's very dramatic.
She's creepy.
And creepy. Yes.
Pretty good.
She's a creepy kid.
Yeah.
Very, and she just like she doesn't apologize for it. But it kind of makes her an outsider amongst the other kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we have the scene where David Michael does not claim her as his real sister. So
little boy.
So mean, I know. And so that kind of sends her off kind of into a spiral, and she decides to just take off and run. She runs away, and Kristy is helped by Mallory and Jesse. So this is kind of the first time we see Mallory and Jesse, who are hopefully going to be a big part of season 2.
I liked this little, they did a really good job of like balancing like all the stories. I thought, we didn't like belabor anything necessarily. Karen's found, she's safe, like she's not in any like weird peril or false peril that, we have to worry about. Like, it's like, but the idea that this little 7-year-old girl can just wander off to a bus stop, like wherever they are, that's really concerning. And I am not team Meanie on this one. I like, somebody needed to be like, right. I don't know how it works. Do they do like head counts during the day to make sure that everybody's there?
Yes, head counts. All the time.
The little 7-year-old girl being able to get that far away from campus.
Yeah,
right.
Like, who knows what could have happened? Like, she's at a bus stop on this road. Like, she could have been snatched.
Yeah.
Well, she went to a cabin in the middle of nowhere that was ostensibly the hermit's cabin.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, she found her way to this decommissioned bus stop that is kind of also in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, and then nobody missed her.
Right.
And then Kristy, Mallory, and Jesse went off to find her, tracked her to the cabin and to the bus stop. Nobody noticed they were gone either.
That's a good point.
I mean, really, at this point, Stacey and Dawn could have just engineered a walkout.
Really?
I wonder how many people had to go missing before they'd be like, something's going on here.
Right.
Really, like, you know, looking at all this at one time, like, Philomena maybe should be, like, in jail, like, for negligence. Like, she completely is just let everything just, you know, go.
So, and I just have to tell you guys the story of, like, I mean, it's not really a story, but when I was a camp counselor, we had the kids, my groups, I would have the kids improv a sentence, so each kid gets to say a word to try and build a sentence without knowing what the other kids are going to say. And then I was like, okay, that's your sound off. So, like, every time I would need to know everybody was there, they would have to say the sentence. Each kid had their own word.
Oh, that's fun.
Sometimes it was really silly, but it worked. It was fun.
Oh, that's a
love
good idea. Yeah.
That's cute. Yeah, I mean, you have to do stuff like that to make sure the kids aren't just wandering off. But they find Karen, and she's not going to let Vanessa Pike take her role in the play. So she is convinced to come back. I really need to see a Karen and Vanessa spinoff. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think that would be great. These episodes are so hard to recap. There's so much going on. So while all this is happening, meanwhile, Dawn is trying to figure out how to right the wrongs that have been done to Claudia, who got sent to her cabin, and also the fact that the camp is promoting social stratification, as John says.
Oh, and if Claudia stays in her cabin anymore, she's going to need some more Doritos, which is just...
Right.
Oh, God, Claudia, never change.
I love the scene where they finally all come together and she's on the iPad on FaceTime.
So funny.
So funny. So Dawn's solution is to protest. So she organizes a sit-in or a lie-in, and then decides we got to build a barricade.
Which again,
French Revolution.
Yeah.
Everyone's on board with it. The counselor's like, okay, whatever, don't hurt yourself. I think they have any control over that. But yeah, everyone's just immediately like, yeah, we're doing it. We're fighting.
They have no real leadership, and Dawn is like giving them someone to follow. So they're like, sure, I'll do that.
A leader and an enemy. Two very
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm kind of going all over the place, but yeah, she's calling for a strike, right? So that's kind of where it goes. And so she calls for a strike. She sneaks into the office to announce this strike over the intercom.
And everyone is immediately like, drop whatever they're doing. Peace out. I'm gonna go to handle this strike. Nobody can.
Only you were that easy.
You've convinced me. That's all I need to do.
I don't know why we're striking. I just know I'm not going to cross this picket line.
I just know now I don't have to do archery, and that's literally all I care about.
Right. Yeah, I think David Michael even says, I'm a union guy. I'm like, you're 7.
I'm union.
But Mary Anne's upset because this is messing with her play, which she's worked so hard on. She's going to be able to kiss Logan in this play, which is a big deal.
We forgot to mention that during their fight, Stacey and Lane end up in a poison ivy patch, and poor Stacey's face.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
I feel like that maybe should have been the name of this segment, like Stacey's nemesis and her face, brownie face. But,
who is it? Mary Anne tells her when she sees her in hospital. She says, "You look like a leper."
What?
Whoa.
Like 98% of the time, she is the best friend you could possibly have. But that other 2%, she will cut you.
Okay, this reminded me of when I used to direct children's theater when I was in high school, and I directed a version of Wizard of Oz for the elementary school, and Rachael, my sister here, I cast her in the play as Toto. Oh. It was so cute. How old were you?
6 or 7. 7. Yeah. I was in second grade. Yeah.
It was the cutest thing. She would just follow Dorothy around in her little Toto costume. And on the day of opening night, she's sitting at the counter eating breakfast, and my mom's like, uh-oh, looking at the back of her neck, and she had chicken pox. I know. She was like, oh, Rachael can't do the play tonight. I was like, what? She has to do the play. Like, I was Mary Anne in this moment. Mary Anne's like, this is going to ruin the whole play. And that's my thought, too. I'm like, how could you do this? Not like, oh, I hope she's okay.
You get chicken pox.
I mean, you don't die of the chicken pox. It's...
No. Well.
Also, you didn't have any lines, so it wasn't like...
if I remember correctly, you replaced me with a stuffed animal and nothing changed. So
I'm sorry you missed your acting debut as Toto.
That was my debut. Yes.
Did you do one performance and then the next one you were sick, or?
No, it was we did dress rehearsal, but
right,
the day was opening night, and I missed I didn't even get to watch it. It was home.
Yeah. So sad. Yeah. We wrote the whole play. Mm-hmm. Kind of like Mary Anne wrote Paris Magic, I think.
I remember Dorothy got knocked out by her Walkman, and that's how she ended up in Oz. Like, that's the one thing I remember from it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I had a vision, and it was great. But it was ruined because Toto got the chicken pox.
Is the script for this around anywhere? Because I think we need to do another special episode where we do a dramatic reading of your telling of the Wizard of Oz.
Someone must have
taped it.
The Lupins or someone must have taped it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's somewhere. We'll find it. Oh boy. So I don't even know where we are. This episode is all over the place.
Yeah, it really is.
If you didn't want me to demand a new version of The Wizard of Oz as written by you, you wouldn't have told this story. You knew what you were doing.
I knew it. But so this is what leads Mary Anne to playing the lead in the musical, where she gets to kiss Logan. But what did we think of the actor playing Logan? Yeah, I know. I didn't like him. It's so boring.
Charisma vacuum was the... I couldn't have found anyone better.
I was like, are we supposed to think he's charming? I don't know.
Stares dreamily like a couple times. He's so flat.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how boys are. I don't know. Like,
kind of, yeah, I guess.
At that age, like.
But the two boys they meet in Sea City, like the Toby and Alex, had way more charisma than this kid. So I mean, he had cute, pretty blue eyes, but other than that, I was just like, this guy, she's in love with this guy.
It's just like a statement on how at that age, like, you literally just fall in love with like your idea of somebody.
Yeah.
You think, oh, this is a cute boy, he must be so wonderful and magical, but later, when you're an adult looking back, you're like, yeah, he was a bore. Like, we didn't have anything to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a cutie pie, and he's a nice kid,
Yeah, seems nice. He does seem, and he seems to respect Mary Anne, which is very important and very nice.
And he encourages her to be bossy, which I like.
I like that too.
Not bossy like Kristy, you're bossy like Mary Anne, and that was okay, all right. I'm warmed up a little. I'm here.
We also don't spend much time with him. Like, we see him in the pilot when she catches eyes, or when like they lock eyes when he's reading to the kids. And she gets all flustered and drops the flyers and has to go pick them back up. And I think one other time, and then this, he's no Trevor Sanborn, I guess is my point. But maybe if we had had more time with him, there'd be a personality.
Yeah. You're right. We're not being fair. I'm sure we'll see more of him in season 2. And I mean, we know Logan likes Mary Anne, so he's probably going to be, they kiss for real.
Big deal when you're 12. Like, that's a huge deal.
Did you notice Kristy's face when they kissed? She was just like throwing up in her mouth. She was so disgusted. And I was like, just another, and that we are like hoping they are setting up for Kristy to come out in season 2.
I was just gonna ask if you think that because they handled LGBT issues pretty well actually, and that'd be cool. That'd be real cool.
I think they've teed it up this whole season. She's the only one who doesn't have any romantic entanglements the whole season. She doesn't show much interest in her talking to her friends about their boyfriends. I think that they'll handle it well if and when they decide to give one of the sitters that storyline.
It's hard like handling like sexuality in like young people that way, because like she could be a lesbian, she could also just not be there yet developmentally, like maybe she's not just, like it could happen later like it does, or she could be asexual, who knows. But that's really, I feel, really hard to like in a really authentic way, but they've done really well with everything else, so I'm optimistic. It
would be cool if they don't try to figure Kristy out and instead let her say, I don't know, or I'm exploring, or I just know that I'm a little different. Like, I think that would be really nice too if they decided to go that way, because I'm sure there are a lot of kids that feel that way, and they could see that and feel like, oh, maybe it's okay that I don't quite know where I fit or know like what my feelings are.
Because it also sort of plays into that like weird stereotype, like, oh, Kristy's the tomboy, so of course she's the lesbian.
Right.
Claudia could be the lesbian, like, like it could. It'd be, I don't know. It's tricky. I don't know.
Yes, it is tricky. Yeah.
Right. I think I cut Rachael off. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Oh.
So we're kind of at the culmination, I guess, of all the conflict. There's the strike, the play is ruined, maybe. And then finally, Meanie gets back from her root canal and sees all of the destruction and just calls everyone into her office or says she's going to send Claudia and Dawn home, right? So they all go to her office, and Kristy finally is like, you know what? No, your camp is a mess. A kid wandered off today. None of your counselors noticed. You need help. And she convinces her. Meanie finally relents and makes them CITs. So Kristy,
he flat out blackmails her. It's not a well-reasoned argument. It's literally blackmail.
Wait, remind me what the blackmail was?
Somebody wandered off. You guys didn't catch them. You didn't notice who was gone. You didn't notice we were all gone. You need help. Don't send them home. We will help you. And not tell our parents. I mean, the not tell our parents was kind of implied.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely felt like, whoa, Kristy's threatening.
Well, because
evil
Kristy's
genius.
Smart. Kristy got like that sort of brain that's like always sort of thinking about, strategy, I think. And,
I mean, she tried to do it the nice way and was shut down, so.
Yeah, you're right.
Kristy's gonna be like a CEO of something when she grows up.
Or like a hitman or something. She's gonna be amazing, whatever she does, but
she'll be in charge.
Yeah.
She'd be a great lawyer, as well.
Yeah.
She'll probably be a lot of different things. So at the end, there was a scene where like Meanie is like, oh, this girl asks, like, I'm concerned about the lice that's happening in our helmets as we're riding horses. And I need to like talk to you about my plan to fix it. And she's like, oh, go talk to the counselors and trainings. I have a theory about that girl. So in every episode in this series, there's been an Easter egg of something happening the next episode. I think that girl is Shannon Kilborn, who is a character in the books, who is an associate sitter. I would bet money on that.
Yes, because we don't meet Shannon until after Kristy moves into Watson's house because they live across the street.
Right.
Oh.
And she's in this like fancy riding outfit. She looks like a rich kid.
So she probably lives in that neighborhood. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's astute, Julia.
Thanks. I thought of it and I was like, yes, I'm going to go with that. And that's the Easter egg for the next season. So
Yeah.
we'll see if I'm right.
Yeah. Oh my God,
I
love
bet
that
you
theory.
are.
Yeah.
I just want to backtrack for 1 second.
Yes.
So, like, right before Philomena returns, and they've all got their signs. I just thought this was so funny. Somebody was holding up a sign that said "No more classist classes." Which, they've all just like their nails into like all these like sort of slogans, and they're just like in it, and I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
You know Dawn has all of those sayings like memorized, so she can make those signs. Like she's been to protests every weekend with her parents.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's cool.
It's cool. Yeah.
You know what we didn't discuss at all? The conflict between Dawn's principles and Mary Anne's art.
Yeah.
Which again they handled really well. I noted in there that like, yeah, Dawn wants to have this protest, but Mary Anne's like, but my show, and they talk about it. They have a talk. They don't say like, well, F you, I'm doing my protest through your art. They have a talk, and Dawn says like, I'm not trying to ruin your show. I just want to make a difference. We can each make the world better in our own way and still be friends. And it's like, these people are so emotionally mature. It's amazing. Like I know adults that couldn't handle conflict this well, you know? Yeah.
Sure do. Yeah. And in a way, I felt like with Mary Anne, Mary Anne is doing exactly what Dawn's protest is protesting for, is like creating an opportunity that is free to everyone to create art and to have a fun experience at camp. So I thought it was completely great perspective for them to both have, that they're making things better in their own way, in the way that they know how to do best. And I agree. That was great.
And they're respectful of each other and like, okay, well, here's my boundary on this, here's my boundary on that.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Love this show.
Whole generation of girls are gonna know how to like go out in the world and navigate relationships and conflict better because of this show. I believe it.
I think so, yeah.
Also, I feel like I'm better. Like I feel like I'm gonna be better at navigating conflict from watching this show.
Yeah.
I feel like Mary Anne too is also the only one that got autonomy to do whatever she wanted. Because like she starts asking Meanie, and Meanie's like, whatever, the form's over there. Go take care of it. And everyone else, like Kristy with her archery, Dawn with her announcements, Claudia with her art, it's just like, no, that's not gonna happen that way. Which is weird because you could also get hurt by falling off the stage, or I guess some sort of dancing injury.
I mean, there's
Probably
the curse.
David Michael.
The whole theme is the curse, right? Like things keep falling in the theater because there's a curse.
Well, I wonder if it's because like Mary Anne has the wherewithal to like just ask permission, like, hey, can we do this thing? Like before, everybody else sort of like tried to just do it without getting permission. So maybe, Mary Anne seems like a rule follower in that way. So
she's working within the system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Did anyone have any notes on anything else in these two episodes?
I feel so bad for Meanie every time she, especially like towards the beginning, the people like the Babysitters Club would come in various groups, and she was like, let me guess, Stony Brook. She just wanted to have a good summer, and everywhere she turned, those kids were there. No one else, just those kids. As someone who is also middle-aged and grumpy, I felt her pain.
I love the last shot when they were like, they asked Mallory and Jesse to be junior counselors, and I guess it's I guess it was the narration. She was like, only one thing left to do, photo shoot. Like, they get this random guy to like take their photos.
I know.
That was really funny. Yeah, kind of what I was saying earlier, one thing I think this show does really well is like they're just saccharine enough. Like they don't hit you over the head with it. Like it's all very grounded. It's all very like timely. But they never hit you over the head with like the lessons.
Right.
But it's still very much about like friendship and sisterhood and supporting each other. And I love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they could have gone like, these are obviously like all kind of like very goody two-shoe kind of people in a lot of ways, but they don't like dig into that too much, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I did get a little emotional a couple times in these episodes. One was when Kristy and Karen were having their moment at the bus stop, and Kristy says, "You are my real sister," and like that got me. And then at the end too, when they invite Jesse and Mallory to be in the club, for some reason that like, got me choked up. I was like, they get to be in the club. That's great.
And they are pumped. They are pumped to be in the Babysitters Club. It's really cute.
The world famous Babysitters Club.
Yeah.
It's cute. I look forward to seeing more of them in season 2. Yeah.
Mallory's hysterical. The casting, they got like just really brilliant young actors for all these roles. They're really funny.
Agreed. Yeah. I know. Oh, such a good show.
The actual joy I felt when Kristy realizes that Karen's gone and she's the only one who can find her, and she gets to pull out her hat, and it's actual joy. Kristy gets to be Kristy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let Kristy be Kristy.
Yes.
Like let Bartlett be Bartlett on the West Wing. Remember that episode?
Yeah, because Kristy's gonna have to learn, like, yeah, I have these like bossy like inclinations, but she's gonna have to learn how to like be a little more of a people person. So
yeah.
Like, okay,
No, that's
I can't be bossy 24/7. I need to like, know when to employ that and when not to.
it is a really hard lesson for us Kristies to learn, because you alienate a lot of people who would be your friends, but they just don't want to deal with you just taking over everything. And so, like, yes, absolutely, you're right. She is learning those lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, any final thoughts? I'm sad this is our last one.
Is there going to be
there's the movie?
What?
There's the movie. The one with Rachael Leigh Cook. I know it's not good. Don't shake your head.
I love that movie. I mean, I love it in a way that it's cheesy and,
Yeah.
they're all 18 playing 13-year-olds, but
Yes.
I love it.
Maybe I'll go back and rewatch it. I don't have good memories of it, but maybe I can look at it through a different lens.
The brain, the center of the chain.
In my head. Oh God. So I went over to Julia's house. Was it last year or probably 2 years ago? And we watched the movie, and it is not art. And I had the brain, the center of the chain stuck in my head for days.
Mm-hmm.
It was awful, but kind of nice.
If we do recap it, I'm going to invite Devin McKay on, because he posted on Facebook that he still prefers that movie. So I know.
Cool.
So we'd have to have a
strong stand.
You and Devin can debate on that, Kristen.
Gladly.
Yes.
And we'll have to discuss if that Logan is as good as this Logan, or as, like, which Logan you would prefer, because the Logan in that movie, like, I don't know. I almost prefer this Logan.
We can have a which Logan is worse concept.
Yeah, exactly. Which Logan is worse? Yeah.
Which Logan would throw off a boat in the ocean?
Yeah.
And then we have to find...
The hot air balloon is sinking. Who do you push off?
Which Logan do you suffer?
It's a ethics question on the standardized tests. Okay, well, thanks so much, Kristen, for joining us. This was so much fun.
Thank you for having me. I've been so looking forward to this. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got to be here. Thank you.
Me too.
Yay.
And thanks everybody for listening. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on social media, WYSR_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. You can email us at whatyoushouldreadpodcast@gmail.com and look us up on Goodreads at What You Should Read Podcast.
And now you know what you should watch.
You're welcome.
You really should watch this show.
Yes, please.
And not the movie.
Yeah.